Well, in what would be its biggest acquisition ever, Amazon says it will buy Whole Foods for $13.4 billion. The all-cash deal is the latest move by the e-commerce giant to get into the food industry and expand their brick-and-mortar presence. Yahoo Finance writer Miles Udland is in New York to really break this all down for us. All right, so Miles, explain the significance of this deal. Why would Amazon make a play for Whole Foods, which has been struggling to bring customers through the door?
Yeah, so Amazon, if you think really about their business, their retail business, the core of it is their Prime service, right? So that is the $99 per year service that they offer to customers. You get free 2-day shipping with that. But what they're trying to do is diversify the offerings that they can offer to those customers. So grocery is an area they've been trying to make a lot of inroads. They've gotten some traction on things like, household staples, whether it's toilet paper, batteries, things that you'll buy from Amazon that way. But they haven't really gotten into fresh food. So I think buying Whole Foods gives them a huge toehold into the grocery space. It also gives them a chance to offer existing Amazon customers access to a store they might not otherwise have gone to. And I think it also kind of opens up the door for them to potentially start really rolling out with some significant presence a same-day delivery grocery, which is really what they need to do to get themselves into that space.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, now let's talk about Walmart here, really stepping up the competition with Amazon once again, announcing Friday it will buy men's clothing company Bonobos for $310 million. How will this set up Walmart to better keep up with Amazon?
Yeah, so Walmart's doing an interesting strategy here. So they'll bring in Bonobos underneath Mark Lohr, who previously ran Jet.com, a company Amazon bought last year for $3 billion. And what Amazon is really trying to do is kind of silo out their online operations, let it be run by sort of younger merchants who have only dealt with online shopping, people who have been competing against Amazon their entire career. So Walmart here wants to bring in customers who are loyal to Bonobos. Bonobos says that they are slightly profitable. And I think, almost hope that Bonobos customers perhaps don't realize that it's now owned by Walmart and get themselves kind of into the e-commerce game by using existing brands to bolster their own operations.
But isn't it not really about the products here? Isn't it more about really buying the data and infrastructure?
Yeah, so Bonobos started and still exists really. Their main offering is that it's all free shipping, right? So if you're in New York, it's like 1 day free shipping because their warehouse is out in Boston. So what Walmart wants to do is just get those logistical frameworks inside their operation. Again, to go back to Jet.com, Jet was brought up just to compete with Amazon. So they started as free 2-day shipping. It was all going to be 2-day shipping, so you have to have a huge network in terms of warehouses, in terms of trucks, agreements with FedEx and UPS, things like that. So what Walmart has done is instead of trying to build up those relationships on their own, they're buying other companies who have already done that legwork for them.
All right, so looking at Amazon, looking at Walmart, both of these big plays that these two massive giants are doing here, is this a situation of just, if you can't beat them, buy them?
Yeah, I think to some extent. I think, look, Amazon has been looking, to go to the Amazon example first, they have been looking at grocery for a long time. Again, as I mentioned, they've tried to do a number of things, offering fresh food, but really you need to have a huge distribution network. And if you think about Whole Foods as grocery stores basically acting as warehouses, if Amazon were to try and get into that, I think Amazon looked at the landscape and said, well, we could try to sort of build out our own infrastructure the way that, say, Fresh Direct has in New York City, but ultimately it just made more sense for them to buy the infrastructure from Whole Foods and go from there. And then to the Walmart Bonobos deal, look, I think Walmart needs to find a way to get in with, the so-called urban millennial set, right? And Bonobos certainly has some cachet there. And so that is absolutely, if you can't beat them, if you can't create it yourself, you might as well go out and spend a couple $100 million just to see what you can do with that.
Sure, just, if you got a couple $100 million on the side, right?
Between friends.
Do you think that real-life shopping will ever completely die off, or will companies just need to focus on both channels?
Yeah, so what I think is interesting about the Amazon deal is that it's not like they're shutting down the Whole Foods stores, right? And Amazon has started to slowly open up their own brick-and-mortar bookstores, and I think they're saying that no, physical shopping, going to the store and buying what you want, buying what you need right then and there is going to continue to be a part of our lives. Now, we've all seen the department store kind of style mall die off, and I think that experience has certainly changed. But in terms of, oh, I need a dozen eggs, what am I going to do? I don't really think that Amazon believes that people are going to pull up their Prime app and order a dozen eggs. They're going to go to the store and get a dozen eggs, and it might be a Whole Foods, it might be a local bodega, but the in-store experience, whether it's retail, whether it's grocery, is not going to completely die. It's certainly going to change, and I think both Walmart and Amazon know that they need to have good physical presences, and then they can bolster those with better online operations.
All right, Miles Udlin breaking it down for us from Yahoo Finance. Thank you.
Thanks.